Gather round the fire, my friends. Come on, draw near. The night is bitterly cold. The sea is restless out there. And the tale I have for you tonight, well, it's gonna chill you far deeper than that howling wind blowing off the harbor. Welcome to this chilling explainer. I am the captain of the Morning Star, or at least I was. Tonight, we're going to examine the very anatomy of my own soul's collapse. Okay, let's dive into this dark tale of my inversion and trace the excruciating path from the light straight down into the pitch black.
A well-lit manor overseen by a benevolent, celestial father. You know, that is exactly how I used to see the world. Before the suffocating mist, before the crushing deep, my Victorian mind clung so desperately, so arrogantly, to this ideal of absolute certainty. I believed, with literally every fiber of my being, that the universe was safe. I thought it was perfectly logical, and that everything had this divine mathematical place. The ocean wasn't a monster to me back then, you see. It was just a predictable, subjugated highway for commerce, a tame beast of burden.
Act 1. The zenith of brass and clockwork.
Let me paint a picture for you of that former world. It was a golden era of magnificent precision. I stood at the helm of my proud vessel, navigating strictly by the morning star. I trusted implicitly in the rigid reliability of the tides, the charted movement of the heavens, and the indisputable power of human engineering. Everything just clicked. Everything turned in these rhythmic, comforting mechanical snaps. We fully believed in the absolute triumph of human logic. Great Fresnel lenses burning brightly, lighthouses standing like defiant needles of stone against the crashing waves. And this brilliantly illustrates how, like Keeper Elias tending the great lamps on the coast, we viewed the mechanical hiss of the oil lamp as an impenetrable shield. We used that hissing light to literally steal the night from the chaotic, nomadic anarchy of the ancient dark.
Act 2. The plunge into the forbidden basement.
But those rhythmic, comforting clicks of our mechanical world, they were about to be silenced by a creeping, suffocating dread. This marks a catastrophic eruption into the known world. The moment the solid floorboards of my neat Victorian manor just gave way beneath my boots and I fell out of the light, I plunged straight into the Sargasso Rift. It's a dead space, older than the sun and moon, where human clocks and brass hold absolutely no dominion. This was the abyss, the forbidden basement of existence, a terrifying void where all my carefully drawn maps just curled into ash and my brass compasses spun mockingly. Facing a space that cared nothing for our precious human logic, well, that's where my pristine sanity began to shatter.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a total Jungian collapse, marking the exact moments my rigid Victorian mindset broke against the unknown. In the first hour, I clung to suppression. I gripped the wheel, relying entirely on duty and faith, barking orders as if the polished brass still mattered. By hour 12, we were descending deep into the rift, the sun fading into this cold, watery memory. By hour 24, the suppression failed completely during our confrontation with the shadow. The very rules of nature were unwinding right in front of us. And by hour 48, the discovery of Hades. Not miles under the earth, but right there, festering in the darkest depths of the human mind.
My faith in the light was brutally stripped away, leaving behind a dystopian universe of predatory shadows. I really want to emphasize that word for you, predatory. Down in the crushing, silent depths of the rift, my entire worldview completely and utterly inverted. The universe wasn't that well-lit manor I so foolishly believed in. It was an endless, hungry dark. And I learned very quickly that in the dark you either hide or you adapt. I adapted.
Act 3. The transfiguration of the water vampire.
This brings us to the final morning at Rathlin Light. The thick, heavy mist rolled in, and Keeper Elias watched from his needle of stone as a ship slowly approached. It was my ship, the Morning Star. But it had emerged through the fog fundamentally, monstrously changed. It was no longer a merchant prince's pride of polished oak and shining brass. No, it had become a monument of bone. I had undergone a gruesome, Gothic transfiguration. The man of hope, the man of strict Victorian order, he was dead at the bottom of the sea. I had become what the old tales whisper of, a water vampire. The sharp, mechanical precision of my past was entirely eradicated, replaced by a silent, terrifying, organic decay.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer magnitude of the shift. The Victorian captain I once was navigated by the heavens, relying entirely on the light for salvation. But the water vampire I became, I'm a universal collector. I no longer look to the sky for guidance. The stars are dead to me. I now command the sluic, the restless, chattering spirits of the drowned, acting as a grim agent for the sea's own bottomless memory. The transition from master of the waves to servant of the abyss is absolute.
Why does this new relationship between the living and the deep matter to you, sitting so safely by the fire tonight? Because in my new existence, mankind's grand purpose and triumph of logic is entirely stripped away. To the abyss, you are not masters of the earth, you're mere inventory, just inventory for the deep. And I now command the slug to gather this grim inventory from the world above. The sea is ravenous, it remembers everything, and it sends me to collect.
So the crucial point is the ultimate tragedy of my tale, the inversion of the light itself. The great lamps, those artificial suns we proudly built to steal the night, they ceased to be a shield. As my bone ship neared Rathlin Tower, the bright light cutting through the mist wasn't a savior to me anymore. It was a predatory signal, a literal dinner bell, calling my unnatural hunger directly to its source. The brightest lights, you see, cast the deepest, most dangerous shadows.
And so, my campfire companions, as we end this explainer of my own doom, I leave you with this final, chilling question. When you stand on the shore tonight, wrapped in the cold wind, and you look out at that comforting beam of a lighthouse sweeping across the black waves, does the light truly guide you home, or is it summoning you, marking you as prey, calling you down into the endless silence of the depths? Think carefully upon it the next time you seek out the light in the darkness.